Hey, howdy, hello, all the greetings. Welcome back to Blade Bias. It's your boy, Brandon Baker, filling in for Ethan because he had some camera mishaps. That means he won't be able to upload that much this week. So I offered to fill in and do my very first head-mounted video ever. Except that's technically a lie, because this is the third attempt that I've made to film this, because this is like a 7-year-old GoPro, and that's the only head-mounted solution I have. So we're going to see, but I think we're going to be okay. So I'm going to slap this onto my pretty little noggin, covered in hair, covered in skin, as most people's beautiful noggins are. And we're going to be talking today about a bunch. How's my framing? Does my framing look good? I think so. If I'm flipping the Balisong here, yes, it's going to be beautiful. Today, in my beautiful Will Hirsch, my case builder case, we're going to be talking about one of the most interesting plastic Balisongs that I have personally flipped, and kind of talking about my story with it and how my story with it relates to Ethan and Ty's story with it. So this is my very first head-mounted thing, and we are going to see how this goes third time around. Stay tuned for the very end, because I'll be playing one of the clips of how I ended one of the takes that I did of this, and it is pretty freaking wacky. But so let's talk about plastic Balisongs. Plastic Balisongs are pretty crazy. I have quite a few here. One of the most craziest ones is the Flip Forge Edit. It is, as you probably know if you watch this channel, but if you don't, it is a plastic Balisong, 3D printed, that has metal in the handles and in the blade. But not just like a couple of different weights and stuff like that. Full rods that go the full length, or most of the length, of the handles and the blade. Which means that this is a pretty heavy Balisong for being plastic, which is really, really cool. And there's a slightly lighter version of that, which is part of why I wanted to do this video, because Ethan hasn't had a chance to try it. This is the Edit Lite. And this is the main Flip Forge Edit, which I realized in my previous recordings, I keep calling it the Flip Forge Edit. I think because I'm a video editor, and whenever I have a video to edit, I don't just call it the edit. I'll say like the Medusa Edit or the Swordfish Edit. I won't just call it the Edit. So it feels strange to just call this the Edit. But so this is the Edit Lite, and then I got here a Zipper V2, Tay Flipper Calico, Squiddy PDP, and this Nautilus. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about my opinions and kind of my story with this. So the start of that story was I actually had aspirations to do a 3D printed Balisong that was properly weighted in some way. Probably with metal in the handles, and I wanted it to be customizable. And then, like the same week that I had that idea and started to pursue it, Flip Forge comes out and does literally the same exact thing and way better than I ever could have. So I got really, really excited for it. And then I heard some of Ethan's opinions. I guess maybe not even opinions, just him being skeptical. Rightfully skeptical. Oh, there it goes. There's the one drop. I can't do any more. Otherwise, I have to, I don't know, commit ritual suicide. We'll see. Stay tuned to the end of the video. Maybe we'll get there. But so Ethan had some concerns, like, okay, like 3-ounce-ish plastic Balisong that's claimed to be weighted like metal. I don't think that's going to work. So he was rightfully skeptical. And then Telestro, the other half of Blade Bias here, he got his and made an interesting first impression video, but then I believe his broke. At least one of his broke, like on one drop. So there were some concerns for it, and I was really excited for it. Flip Forge did the first drop, and I got in on the first drop. He didn't want me to buy one because he was going to send me one, but I just wanted to support him, so I bought one. But Ethan got his before I got mine. And when Ethan got his, he's like, oh my gosh, this is really, really good. Like shockingly good. And then so I got even more hyped, and then I got mine. And then I tried it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really, really good. And then I had Will try it, and he's like, oh my, literally in the first 20 seconds. Literally the first 20 seconds. He's like, oh my God, this might be my new favorite plastic Balisong. Like this might dethrone the Tay Flipper for me. which is just wild. So it's really, really interesting. So I wanted to talk about what I think of this compared to my relatively large plastic Balisong collection here. So the Edit Lite is very, very similar. And honestly, something that I appreciate and notice about these two, and what I really enjoy, is whenever I'm doing this and somebody's car alarm starts going off. And it's just absolutely beautiful. It might not stop. Oh, there it goes. Beautiful. See, I use the force. There it is. Bada bing, bada boom. But so something that I like about it is they're both very consistently weighted, which is a problem that other plastic Balisongs have. I guess maybe not even a problem, but I guess maybe it's more of a preference kind of thing. But so the Tay Flipper is pretty consistently weighted. And we, like everybody, loves the Tay Flipper. Except, so here's a really interesting thing. So the one person that I've ever met that hasn't liked the Tay Flipper is my girlfriend. When she first tried this, I handed it to her and she grabbed it and went, didn't flip it, just grabbed it and went, ugh. Like physically recoiled, like, ugh, because she didn't like the feel of it. And literally just last night, I was over at her place and I had this with me, and I had this with me. Because this is technically hers. I bought my Edit, but Flipforge offered to do one for my girlfriend for free, which was really cool. And she was trying these two. She is not a Balisong flipper. She can very roughly do a standard open and very roughly do a chaplain, but nothing more than that really. And she tried it and she was like, and her genuine opinion was, and it's been probably 4 or 5 months since she's even touched the Tay Flipper, but she said, this feels like a toy for children, or I'm sorry, no, not a toy for children, a toy for toddlers. And this feels like a toy for like 12-year-olds. And I'm like, that is going to be the hottest take in the Balisong community that I've heard. But I think it's valid, and I think it's an interesting, like, I've kind of lost my beginner mindset. And then, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about with plastic Balisongs, is they just live in this really interesting place. So for somebody like her, she genuinely felt like this was like a toy made by Hasbro that is sold for really cheap at Walmart. But it's obviously not that, because there's a ton of complexity that goes into this and goes into the calico. Ton of complexity. Tay puts a ton of work into these, and they're worth what he is charging, absolutely. But to somebody like her, this felt cheap. And I think the just slightly heavier weight and more substantial feel to this made it feel better to her. And so that's a really interesting, oh my God, can I, wait, hold on. Can I, let's see how much I've leveled up my flipping. Can I, nope, I can't. Stay tuned next time where Brandon can actually fucking flip. But so yeah, I just thought that was really, really interesting. But so back to the balancing points, the calico is awesome. It's amazing. But it feels like the weight is at the end of the handles and at the end of the blade, which means it carries momentum in kind of a strange way. And then you have the Tay Flipper, which is more consistent. And then both the edits are pretty consistent. This is 3 ounces. This is about 2.75. And this has adjustable weight, or I'm sorry, this has adjustable weight. This does not have adjustable weight. My one pet peeve about this is it comes with a really, really cool little adjustment tool to adjust these pivots. These are T8 pivots, and they're really neat. And it's been pretty easy for me to tune. I haven't tried the Tonto blade, but maybe we'll save that for another video. But so it's pretty easy to tune. And then you have the adjustable weight system in the handles at the bottom here, which is also really cool. But this is a T8 bit, and this is a T10 bit. It does not come with a T10 bit. And you would probably mess with the weights before you messed with the whole construction of the Balisong, because you don't have to disassemble any of this. Why is this a T10 and this is a T8? Maybe I missed something. Maybe Flipforge has addressed that, but that was a little annoying. If you are a Balisong flipper, you should probably have a T10 bit. It's the most common bit. They're very easy to get. They come standard. Actually, there's 2 bits that come standard with the bolt and stuff like that. So it's not the end of the world, but that was just a little annoying thing. But these are both very comparable, but they do feel different. And then being heavily weighted, or just like substantially weighted plastic balisongs would be a cool selling point by itself. But the customizability that you can get is just crazy. And like, my girlfriend loved being able to customize this, and she thought that was just the coolest thing. And I thought it was the coolest thing too. There's just a ton of different options. And even this blade, I don't know if FlipForge is going to be offering these blades regularly, but I really, really love what he did with this blade. I believe this is mostly just custom for me, but I hope that he offers this because it looks absolutely freaking sick. And I just really enjoy how it flips. Will really enjoyed how it flipped. Ethan really enjoyed how it flipped. So compared to stuff like the Squiddy, this is a PDP, but it's essentially just a Squiddy B. The Squiddy B is also really good. It's a much more neutral kind of balance, but it is just flat, featureless handles, and a pretty plain looking blade. Which is great. Something I love about plastic balisongs, or at least most of them, is that they don't actually look like a knife. So whenever I'm out here in the middle of my apartment complex, I don't have to worry about people thinking, oh my gosh, is that random guy just out in public flipping a knife? This one, my Zipper V2, kind of looks like a knife, but I specifically got the one that didn't have the actual like Tonto edge to it, so it wouldn't look as threatening. But I just love the customizability that stuff like FlipForge is doing now, and Zippy has been like the king of customization, at least in terms of colors and everything like that. But having this being a more, I guess, properly weight distributed balisong, this is 3 ounces. The Squid Industries Nautilus V2, this is my custom one with the custom, or I guess half custom glider scales and then half Squid Industries scales, because I change the scales on this all the time. This is 3.6 ounces, and this is a metal balisong. So that puts these two in a really, really interesting place, that you are getting to a point where you have a much more consistent flipper that can do much more interesting things in a lot cooler ways whenever it is just weighted more like a metal balisong. And that is just really, really, really cool to me. And the fact that he was able to weight these pretty much the same, but then the adjustable weights do have an effect. When you take the metal weights out of the bottom of this, it does have a noticeable effect on how it flips. But it's not like whether it's better or worse is all subjective. But that's where I just think plastic balisongs are in the best place they've ever been, which is thanks to the innovation of the Squiddy and the normalization of a plastic balisong. But at this point, I don't really feel like I am getting a worse, more detrimental experience flipping a plastic balisong over a metal balisong. And being able to customize this stuff without having to spend, for example, to like change the color for like a metal balisong, having to learn how to anodize stuff, or having to pay, sometimes $200, $300, $400 on the low end to get a titanium balisong and then anodize it. It's like that's just expensive. And so for under $100, having all these options to have just a cool toy, because let's face it, you could give me flack all you want, but balisongs are toys. They are toys that sometimes have utility because it's a knife. Can we all agree on that? They are toys that you fidget with. Really cool toys, dangerous toys, toys for men, if you want to say that. But they're just things that you fidget with and play around with. How many times are you actually using a balisong for actual utility outside of opening a box? Probably very, very rarely. And that's where I just really enjoy where plastic balisongs are at. And FlipForge definitely represents that. And all of these here in this box, I just absolutely love each of them, all in their different ways. And I even enjoy them differently than I would enjoy a metal balisong. So yeah, that is pretty much it. I appreciate you guys watching this. Let me know how I did. Subscribe to Blade Bias. Subscribe to Brandon's Balisong Corner, my brand new second channel, where I'm going to be doing balisong live streams. The first one went amazingly well. We raised over $300 for charity, gave away some awesome stuff, and that was a really humbling and really cool experience. So thank you to everybody that showed up for that. But yeah, subscribe to Blade Bias, subscribe to Ethan on camaroEE, subscribe to Telestro. You've probably seen Will Hirsch, but if you haven't, check out that stuff there. I want to make doing these head-mounted things a kind of more regular thing. So thank you to Ethan and Ty for letting me take up another slot in their Blade Bias slew of videos, and I guess in a way keep the content and algorithm overlords happy to keep the uploads fresh and excited. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and now I will leave you with the outro for the previous take of this video. It's a spicy one. Peace. Let me know if this is good. I'm sure the audio sounds great. The framing is perfect. It hasn't been shaky at all. It's gonna be amazing. So, no, don't you run. No, you four, stay the fuck. Oh my God. Please don't run. I told you, Brandon Club, you gotta stop.